Oh, that's sweet. Just got this faced and chased. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't told you guys about this frame yet, have I? Yep, I'm building a race bike, but that's not what this video is about. Let's talk about my fat bike and kind of how I set myself up for winter, starting with this winter helmet. Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. As you can see, we got pretty early snowfall. In fact, it was a record. I think it was like 8.5, 9 inches of snow here in the Twin Cities. If you don't know where the Twin Cities are, it's Minneapolis, St. Paul here in Minnesota. And it's sticking around. Usually we don't get like snow that sticks around until middle of November, late November. I always think of Thanksgiving as the time to like expect snow to stick around and stay around. But because of that, I'm a little early to start talking about this bike. So this is my fat bike, and it actually started out as a Fat Boy SE. So that's the Specialized base model fat bike that I bought. I want to say this is a 2015 model. It might be a 2016, but I think they were pretty much the same right around then. But I've done a bunch of upgrades to it. It has a Thompson stem. It's got, well, it's got the same stock bars. I actually want to put a higher rise bar on this. I think I'll like that a little better. It has framed front rim and hub. Framed as a Minnesota company. I upgraded the brakes to be Spike TRP. The nice thing about the Spike brakes, if you haven't seen them, is they're mechanical, but the brake pads move on both sides, not just one side like the BB7s by SRAM. I updated the rear derailleur, so this is a 2x10, at least right now it is, and I updated the derailleur to an X9 because it came with a, I think it was, I don't even remember, maybe an X7 or something. Nice rear hub. Like this is a framed rim, but I have a DT Swiss hub on there, and another TRP brake. So I've done a lot of upgrades. I mean, there's not a lot of stock, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about my plans on where I'm going to go with this bike. And I also updated the fork. So this is a carbon fork instead of an aluminum fork. This is also a framed component. So instead of having the 135 front, this is actually 150, and kind of opens up a lot of options having 150 instead of 135. So my plans, and it will go mostly going to be in the drivetrain, is you can see this is all rusty and just over the years, you know, riding in the snow, ice, salt, dirty. But it's a 2x10, and I want to go 1x system, and I haven't fully decided, but I want to go maybe 1x10 and maybe get a wider range cassette back here, where this, I have a bigger one back here, maybe a 42, because I don't think that's very big. And I also could do 1x11 or 1x12, depending on what I do. If I do go with 12 speed back here, I do need to get an updated derailleur and shifter and all of that. But I know for sure the front shifter, front derailleur, all that are gonna go away, and it's gonna be a 1x system, because riding in the wintertime, having 2x10, just, I never use all these gears, and I'd rather just have the simplicity of that. And the other reason I want to go 1x whatever it ends up being in the back is I want to put a dropper post in. So the dropper lever will need to go where the shifter is. So that's the other plan. The problem, there's no hole in the frame. So part of the plan will be to cut a hole in the frame. I don't really care about warranty at this point anymore. And I mean, I beat the living crap out of this frame and it's still alive, so I'm pretty surprised. So I'm gonna cut a hole, get a dropper post, put that in, and I will show that process and all of that. So I got some work to do on this bike, mostly in the drivetrain, and then adding a dropper post. Everything else is pretty good. I'm gonna get a higher rise handlebar too, things like that. So that's my fat bike, and I'll go through that process, and I'm gonna try to do it here within the next few weeks, because you know, by the time we do open up the trails to winter riding, I want the bike to be ready. So I'm going to talk a little bit about fat biking for those of you that don't know much about it, or those of you that might just be getting into it and don't kind of know how you'd set up your bike and things like that for the snow. So let's get into that. So I did just buy this Giro helmet, and this is a snow helmet or winter helmet. You can use it for skiing or biking or whatever. One of the things I'm gonna have to do here, and I think they actually make one, I want to be able to mount a light on the top, because it gets dark so early, especially come next weekend when we change the time. It gets dark here around 4:30, 5 o'clock. So you're not getting any riding in if you don't have lights. So I have lights. There's no real easy way to mount them, so I'm going to figure out a way to put a mount on here so I can mount my light. But this is a sweet helmet. Hopefully it keeps my head warm. Usually I used to just wear this hat or a hat like it and then a helmet over it, but this year I'm going to try one of these cold weather helmets and see how I like it. And I want to show you this. I believe they're in the house. Let me go get them. Here they are. I just thought about this as I was doing this video. I wasn't really planning it, but I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about my helmet, might as well talk about my boots. These are 45 North Wolfhammer boots. I've had these for a few years. I actually like to ride clipless in the snow. Probably need to do a little about the rust, but I ride clipless with time pedals, and I like it. So, and these boots keep my feet super warm. And on the coldest of cold, like below 0 and such, I will put toe warmers in there, and I have enough room, and then they're fine. I also do bike patrol in the wintertime for some ski races and a couple of fat bike races in the winter. So these are what I wear, and this is the bike I use for patrol. The other thing I want to talk about is tires. I have Surly Bud and Lou tires on here. So the Bud is the front tire, and you can see the tread pattern is kind of more front to back, and this is more for steering in the snow. And then if you go to the back tire, which is the Lou, you'll see that there's treads that go more cross pattern, and this is for digging in and biting and propelling you forward. They work pretty good. Those are 4.8s. This bike will allow up to 5.0s. The difference between 4.8 and 5.0 is very negligible. You would probably wouldn't even notice. Like, these are about as big as you can get with fat bike tires. 26-inch wheel. A lot of fat bikes nowadays have 27-inch wheels. These are still 26. And one of the things you do in the wintertime in the snow, and you'll see this, is run really low pressure. So depending on the conditions, I'll run anywhere from 8 psi to 5 psi when I'm in the snow. If I'm on the hard surfaces like dirt or even pavement, I'll run 12 to 15 psi depending on the conditions. The most I really ever put in those tires is 15 psi, and when you put 15 in a tire this size, it's pretty solid. You like barely can push it down. And right now I probably have about 5 in there. So riding on the pavement with 5 psi would absolutely suck. The bike is like tracks all over and it's hard to steer and all that. But once you get in the snow and the soft stuff, 5 psi just all of a sudden becomes magic. And so for any of you who are getting into fat biking, or even some of you that have been doing it for a while but still struggle getting through the snow, what I would do is put about 8 to 10 psi in your tires to start. Go to the trail, start riding, depending on the level that it's packed. If it's super soft, just powder, and it's a good, you know, if you step in it and it goes up past your ankle, it doesn't matter what you do to your bike, you're gonna have a hard time riding in it. You can, and obviously some people have to start doing that to get the trails packed in. A lot of times we'll snowshoe the trails to get them packed in. Some trails actually groom with a little groomer behind a snowmobile or whatever. So I mean, there's every trail's a little different in this area, but all in all, you start with 8 to 10 psi, start riding, and if you find yourself slipping and not really able to have traction and propel yourself forward, start dropping the psi a little bit, just, you know, with your finger, and do it, and, you know, drop it a little bit, then ride some more, and then if it doesn't feel right, drop it a little more, and just keep dropping the pressure till you can just ride on the trail and it feels relatively normal. One thing I do want to talk about fat biking in the snow is you'll never get it to feel like riding in the summer on dirt on a regular bike. It's always going to feel different, and there's always more effort to doing it. You're pedaling more, you're spinning more, you're balancing more. There's a lot more effort fat biking in the snow than there is riding dirt on a regular mountain bike in the summertime. So if you're trying to get your fat bike to feel like a regular mountain bike in the wintertime, you're good luck. So, but go at it knowing that it's going to be a different experience, but it's extremely fun. And I encourage everybody to at least try it, even if they have to rent a bike or something. But the key to the whole thing is tire pressure. And I'll say it over and over again, and I'll even talk about it once we get snow and I'm out riding, as I'll talk about tire pressure even more. But it's all about tire pressure, tire pressure, tire pressure. And if you have your tire pressure too hard, you're going to dig in, you're going to create grooves, even tear up the trail and things like that. So the lower the pressure you can go, the better it is. Your tire flattens out, spreads out, gives you traction, and that's how you do it. And front, when it's really soft, will actually bend and mold and work its way through the snow, so it's pretty cool. So that's it. Video's starting to get a little long. I'm talking a bunch. So boots, bike, helmet, pretty stoked. I'm also at the very intro of this video, you saw my BMX race frame. I'm also building a racing bike. I'll have another video on that build, and I am going to be going to the BMX track this winter. So I'm hoping that I can keep my YouTube channel going a bit between fat biking BMX racing, and of course any travel I do this winter is with COVID. I just don't know what that's going to be, but I am hoping I can get down to Bentonville and stuff like that. So my videos might not be as often, but they're gonna still happen, and I'm still in the process of selling my house, so we'll see what happens with that. So lots of updates coming, and I really appreciate the support I'm getting, and please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.